The whole thing of what we've been doing on these podcasts is we grew up in the 80s and we decided we were going to like go through the years of the 80s and rank the top 10 albums and then have a just missed list stuff on our episodes. And we're just going randomly out of order. So today it falls on 1983. And
Woo!
Full disclosure, we started an episode before, and I personally, the king of this podcast, left some of my favorite albums of all time off, and I don't know why. So we have a rule for when we do the 90s.
I have a theory.
Yeah, you think I'm a dummy, and you're right. But so anyway, we're having to reshoot this. We're sitting here listening to music from 1983, laughing that we didn't think of this or we didn't think of that. So I don't know. If you've known us your whole lives or our whole lives, you're not shocked by the fact it's been a mess. So let's start over. Okay, so we're starting from scratch. Number 10, 1983. Jerry Butcher, give it to me.
All right, 1983. I'm 11 years old. I turned 11 in the 5th grade, so part of 1983 is I'm a 6th grader, so late elementary. I'm going to the skating rink all the time, starting to play sports in 5th and 6th grade, getting to know people from other classes. So my music is starting to pick up, not so much as it does in 1984, but 1983 is just an amazing year. So I'm going to start at number 10, which is Sports by Huey Lewis and the News. It's not an album that I owned, not one probably that I would even buy on vinyl today. But it's awesome. And I listened to it all the time. We heard songs off of it all the time. I don't know how you can deny it. They're as synonymous with the 80s as any other band. Heart of Rock and Roll, Heart and Soul, I Want a New Drug, If This Is It. Those are all just, I can't believe they're all on the same album. So,
yeah, I won't get into it because it'll come up later on mine. We usually do this where if it's on my list, I don't go on and on about it if you put it on yours first. My number 10 is an album that they couldn't think of the name of it or a name for it, so they named it after the number that the record companies gave it. It's called 90125 from Yes. The songs, Owner of a Lonely Heart, Leave It, Hold On, It Can Happen, Changes, our song, City of Love. It's not on your list. It's probably not on your short list. It's not on your just missed list, but I love that. Owner of a Lonely Heart by itself gets you consideration. So,
yeah, you listed some songs I like. I'm not a yes man. Okay, tough crowd. So, coming in at number 9 for me, because I grew up in a house with some Duranis, is Seven and the Ragged Tiger. My favorite Duran Duran song is Union of the Snake. And this also has the Reflex and New Moon on Monday on it. So, and I'm looking for Cracks in the Pavement. Of course, I was subject to listen to all of these because my sisters played it all the time. But I never hated it. Just never told anybody that I liked it.
I can't talk about this one either because it's on my list. I will say we had to re-record partly because you left it off your list.
Hey, we're not going to go over that.
Yeah, you left it off your list. You just said your favorite Duran Duran song and you didn't have it on the list.
Yeah.
Anyway, my number 9 is from The Culture Club with Boy George and the guys. Color by Numbers. Oh my gosh. And I love this album. It had so many great songs on it. Karma Chameleon, It's a Miracle. Church of the Poison Mind. I was listening to this the other day. Church of the Poison Mind is not, probably wasn't on MTV. I didn't have MTV.
No.
It wasn't on Friday Night Videos. And for some reason I got to hear it somehow, and I love it. Miss Me Blind, Mr. Man. Ugh, I loved Culture Club. Their first album, we had the 45 for Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? No.
Yeah, probably. It was either Karma Chameleon or Do You Really Want to Hurt Me?
Yeah, well, I was just thinking. But anyway.
My mom liked that album. A lot of women in that age group love
Good one.
Culture Club.
Good one.
So,
Love it.
yeah, great album.
My favorite song is not on any of my lists.
Anyway, here's album number 8, Pyromania, by a band called Def Leppard. Man, I remember listening to this out at the ballpark, being out watching older people play, probably men's softball, and Peasel. Steve Vance was playing it over the loudspeaker. Foolin' and Rock of Ages and Photograph, those songs are like 10s. And the rest of the album's good, but it doesn't matter if they are or not. Those songs right there.
I mean, all jokes aside, teasing each other, like, I remember the songs from that being on Friday Night Videos. I got a Friday Night Videos t-shirt about 2 or 3 years ago, and every time I put it on, I think of the songs that were like the ones that were on there. And Foolin' was on there, and Photograph was on there. And I won't really say much more because I love that album. I still have it on CD. It's in my truck sometimes. But anyway, yeah, I'm 100% behind you on that. My number 8 is an album called Frontiers by Journey. I don't know what to say about it other than it had 4 or 5 just amazing songs on it that I just love. Separate Ways, Send Her My Love, After the Fall, Who Hasn't Slow Danced with Their Girl or Their Guy, to Faithfully, Edge of the Blade, and we were talking earlier, Beavis and Butthead was just so good at making fun of videos. And when they made fun of Separate Ways, if you've not seen that or you don't remember that, you need to get on the YouTube machine and search it. And when they make fun of it, it's one of the best that they ever did.
It's one of the worst videos.
Yeah, it's a terrible video
that you'll
for
ever
a really
see.
good song.
It is.
I don't know what they were thinking. And I'm
saving
sure
money.
I'm sure Mike Judge, the guy that came up with Beavis and Butthead, was like, "Are you setting me up?
Perfect.
Like, is that a challenge? You know, like, are you asking me to make fun of that?" So, anyway, Frontiers is my number 8.
Their shirts in that video.
It is priceless.
So Frontiers didn't make my short list, but it is close. So my number 7 is a band that we wouldn't have known at this time, that we discovered later. And so went back and bought Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning by Metallica after we discovered them, or after Tony introduced me to them. Kill 'Em All is probably an underrated album. It's so good. It's very raw. It's very heavy metal. They were very young when they did it, but man, does it have some great songs on it. Stuff that they still play in concert today, like the Four Horsemen, Seek and Destroy, Jump in the Fire, Whiplash. There's Motor Breath, Hit the Lights. They always play Hit the Lights. It's just that's Metallica.
It didn't make my list. Not that I just, there's a lot that I like in this year, but you're right. Very good. Seek and Destroy every time you play it. Hit the Lights every time you play it. It's just funny that when you grew up in the middle of nowhere like we did, you didn't know what this was. I didn't know what Metallica was till like 88, 89. And they had already put out 2 albums by that point. And yeah, I'm with you. Very, very good. Very good. My next one, which would be number 7, is Let's Dance by David Bowie. I love David Bowie. David Bowie put out so many great albums and songs, and he recruited one of my favorite guitar players of all time to play on this album, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Modern Love is on this. China Girl is on this. The title track, Let's Dance, Without You, Criminal Mind. I mean, it's just one of those that I never owned it. I never had it on CD or cassette, LP, nothing. But those songs that I just named are all great, and those first three are 80s masterpieces. And Let's Dance especially, because those of us who love SRV, just something else.
The guy that's a legend in the 70s reinvents himself and makes it work, which it just doesn't happen that often.
The influence he had on music.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. And then to survive that and remain significant.
Up until he passed away.
Yeah.
Like, put out stuff until the end.
It didn't quite make my short list. It's another one that's right there. It's just 1983 is a really deep year. At number 20, I've got an Ozzy Osbourne album that I loved, and it's at 20. So,
yeah, like we said, we had to restart this, and looking at my spreadsheet in front of me, that for goodness knows what reason I left stuff off, and there's some good stuff that ain't on it.
yeah.
There's some good stuff that ain't on it.
So coming in at number 6 for me, I believe, is their second album, Motley Crue's "Shout at the Devil," and I'm going to let Tony talk about it. I remember listening to this album at a Boy Scout weekend. It was like a winter jamboree, and being in a cabin in a bunk bed, and some guy from another scout troop had a boom box and was playing this, and it just felt dirty. Like I felt like I shouldn't be listening to "Shout at the Devil," but it was so good. I just loved it so much.
It's just funny because, we were talking the first time we tried to record this, and we realized all the mistakes that I had made. Like, friends' parents were trying to keep us from listening to this, when really all Vince and Tommy and Nikki and Mick were worried about were girls and drugs and booze. They didn't care about Satan one way or the other.
Nope.
They had nothing to do with it unless it got people to sell, help them sell albums and make money. And we never thought a thing about it. I mean, I don't remember if I had it. I think I may have ended up having it on CD. I didn't have it on cassette. But, like, it's Looks That Kill. Looks That Kill is one of my favorite songs ever. It's just an absolute 80s masterpiece. And the title track was good. The cover of Beatles song was good. Helter Skelter. It's funny that we grew up in a time when we're so worried about the influence that music would have on kids, and it really had no impact on us. We weren't paying any attention.
None. We could have cared less. It wasn't making us.
I didn't smoke a joint. I wasn't do any drugs because of it.
Abusing women or being chauvinistic or nothing.
Nothing.
It didn't.
It didn't
make me pick up Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible.
Exactly.
This is a prime example of the satanic panic that we grew up in, that we lived through, that we had to try to hide stuff that we knew was harmless, that our pastors, our youth ministers, our parents were just going nuts about, because it was ruining the youth.
Never crossed our mind.
I was just banging my head.
Just mowing the yard.
Yeah, mowing the yard.
Trying to drive straight.
Yep.
It didn't make me want to
pulling my PE shorts down so my butt cheeks didn't hang out. Yep.
Not a thing. And it got bumped off of my list when we reevaluated it, but it's just that song, like I said, Looks That Kill is just so good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I have at number 6, Seven and the Ragged Tiger by Duran Duran. You already had that on yours, right?
I had it at 9.
You had it at 9.
Yep.
So your sisters love me more than you now.
Probably.
Listening to this. I always liked Duran Duran. I didn't grow up in a house with two sisters that just loved Andy Taylor, John Taylor, Simon Le Bon, and
Nick Rhodes. Don't leave Nick Rhodes out, or Kelly
Nick
will
Rhodes.
whip you.
What? Is that the guy for?
Kelly loves Nick Rhodes.
Huh.
That's the one she likes.
Sorry,
Donna
Kelly.
liked John Taylor.
John Taylor's a good-looking guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he reminded
John
me of
Taylor, a
me.
really good looking guy. He what?
Reminded me of me.
Right, yeah, no, not at all.
Not
But,
even
like,
close,
on
bud.
my list, it has 9 tracks, and I love 5 of them. We'll go The Reflex, New Moon on Monday. New Moon on Monday is one of them songs that you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that song.
Yeah.
That song is so good. I'm looking for Cracks in the Pavement. You mentioned that earlier. You said your favorite song, Union of the Snake, that you didn't put on your list initially, which is really good. And The
Jeez.
Seventh Stranger. Such a good album. It really is.
Yep.
They killed the 80s. Just killed it.
Yep. Number 5 for me is Quiet Riot's Mental Health. And, as I can remember listening to this in class in 5th grade. Mental Health and Come On Feel the Noise, and Slick Black Cadillac, Loves a Beehive, Battle Axe, Run for Cover. It was I don't know. It was like they were like an AC/DC copycat band that didn't last very long, but God, was their songs were so good.
It's just funny because they go back to what I've said in other podcasts. They're cotton candy. Like,
Yep.
you don't want to eat that every day. You don't want to listen to that every day. But boy, when you do,
When you're in the mood
when
for
you're
it,
like, yeah, a
you-
little cotton candy ain't bad
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
I'll have a little cotton candy today. Today, I need a
I'm gonna
little cotton
I'm
candy
gonna
to get
sugar
me going.
crash.
Right, yeah.
Fall asleep
I
on my
need
desk
I
in a
need
pool of
you know
slobber.
what? I'm
Yep.
at work and I'm, typing numbers into a spreadsheet. I need to hear Come On Feel the Noise to get me going. That's what that is. And
Yeah.
that's kind of
When-
why
when-
they went
when-
away that fast.
When Kevin Bacon comes flying into the high school parking
in his
lot
VW Bug.
in his VW Bug playing
Chuck
Mental
Taylor's.
Health, that
He
was
had Chuck's on.
freaking. I mean,
Yeah.
and that was like, that was 80.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
It was
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah. We were joking earlier that my mom told me the song, actually, I said we wouldn't cuss on my podcast in case somebody's
But darn it,
letting their kids listen to it. So there's a song called Loves a Beehive, which
Yep.
that isn't what it actually is. And I put a piece of masking tape over the word beehive because that made it better. But I didn't put it over the lyric or the title, Come On Feel the Noise, where the word come wasn't spelled right. It's just funny that
Tony promised his mom he would not listen to that song.
I promised I would not listen to Love is a Beehive. And I didn't. I would not listen to it.
You're
I
so-
was such a good kid.
You're so straight.
That's
That's what I love about you.
Yeah, that's why my mom loves me, because I was a good kid. My number 5 doesn't deserve to be number 5 because it should be way higher than that, but the ones ahead of it are just better. Is Pyromania from Def Leppard. I love Def Leppard. I do. I've loved them since the beginning. I remember the Foolin' video, the Rock of Ages video, which both of those songs don't even touch Photograph. Photograph, I don't know. Maybe Photograph's the best song in the 80s ever. I just love that song.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. To start a song off where you just play a chord on the guitar and it just kind of reverberates and then you get into it. I just love that song. I could listen to that on constant repeat. And the others that are on there that, we've talked about it in other podcasts. It's like the basketball players on your team that they're not the stars, but the other songs on that, they just kill it too. I love that album. I just love it so much.
Can't just have Shaq and Kobe.
No,
you got to have
can't-
some
you
role
can't
players if
just
it's going to
have-
be
you
a
can't
great
just
album.
Have the stars. You've got to have the others, and that's what Pyromania is. It has others. It has Stage Fright, Too Late for Love, Coming Under Fire, Billy's Got a Gun, Rock Rock Till You Drop. When I listen to that album, like being a kid again, like being 12 again, because that's exactly what I was, 12 years old.
So what was that number for you? 5?
is
That
number
was
5.
5. So we're on 4, and this is Synchronicity by the Police. I'm not as big a Police fan as Tony. This album is amazing. It's, to me, one of the biggest albums of the 80s. I love the song Wrapped Around Your Finger. That's my favorite one off the album. But who doesn't love Every Breath You Take, which is a creepy stalker song, but somehow became a love song. King of Pain, and the rest of it, I'm going to let Tony talk about it because I'm sure it's up high on his list.
Well, the funny thing is like when we started reshooting this, because for whatever reason my spreadsheet list was way off, and this wasn't on it, which is super dumb because I've listened to this album over and over. My sister or I, one of the two of us had it on cassette. It's a masterpiece. It's so good. Yeah, the hits are clearly Synchronicity 2 was on MTV. I remember that. Or Friday Night Videos, I guess I should say. Every Breath You Take, like Jerry said, The King of Pain, Wrapped Around Your Finger. Those are the ones. And that's what's funny is like on the album, that's 6, 7, 8, and 9. Like those 4 songs are grouped together. The 4 hits are grouped together. The Synchronicity 1, the first song on it, I love that. Walking in Your Footsteps was a great song. If you like The Police, Murder by Numbers, I've listened to that over and over again. It's got like 10 million listens. I probably listened to it 1 million of those times. The Police were a big part of the 80s, man. They really were. They went on a run, and this was one of them. And to think this is the last album they ever put out. This was their last album together.
Really?
They didn't put another album out after this. So that's my number 4 as well. Oddly, I look at my list. I'm like, how in the world did I put that 4? But it is. Wrapped Around Your Finger at 2. Great video with all them candles and stuff.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, I love that video.
That video is a great
video.
video.
I love that video. I love that song. And probably I say it's my favorite, but Every Breath You Take, just those 2 songs were so good. And I made me love an album that I probably wouldn't have, because I wasn't a huge Police fan.
And I didn't really think of Every Breath You Take as like a love song. I don't remember listening to that song thinking of any specific lady that I liked. It's a good song. It's just a great, great song.
Yeah.
Even though we know later that it was like a stalker song.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
All right. So my number 3 song is number 3 album is Bryan Adams' Cuts Like a Knife. And man, this Bryan Adams, 2 years in a row, 83 and 84, he puts out Cuts Like a Knife and follows it up with Reckless. Though, I mean, who had a better 2-album run in back-to-back years? That I like Reckless better. But Cuts Like a Knife has the title track, has Straight from the Heart, has This Time I'm Ready, Don't Leave Me Lonely. Other songs, The Only One, Take Me Back. Both of his voice, his musicianship, he's something else. He caught lightning in a bottle and wrote it for 2 straight years.
I didn't put this on mine, and you're right. And here's the thing I love about what you and I have been doing with these. You got 10 songs that you're going to put on an album.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, like we don't know any, I mean, we know Bobette but I mean, they're not making, you had was it?
John Bryan.
Yeah.
Was a friend of mine.
Yeah. That had a band or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, this album that you're talking about has track 1, track 2, I don't really know. And then 3 is This Time, a great song.
Mm-hmm.
You go straight from the heart.
Yep.
Punch you in the face. And then, oh, by the way, that song's over. Here's Cuts Like a Knife.
It's one of the
like
best.
You put 3 songs in a row that you just go, I love these songs. I really like This Time. Straight from the Heart. Mm-hmm. Are you kidding? And then, oh, by the way, here's Cuts Like a Knife starts. Yeah. And I wish we could play this. YouTube would block it if we did it. But like, I wish we could play them so you could hear them. And maybe we'll mess around and see whether it got blocked or not one of these days. But like, you're right. There's 3 songs in a row that you get rid of the rest of it, and it still wins.
Yeah, yeah, it
still wins a championship. Because their songs are so good.
I just love Bryan Adams. I love his sound and what he lassoed and corralled in that short amount of time.
Because you're right, Reckless is so.
It's just
Reckless
it's your
fire.
childhood. Like right at that time, you're starting to get interested in girls and all of these songs. I'm at the skating rink and we're playing Cuts Like a Knife, and I'm like, yeah, I'm wounded, man. I'm in 5th grade. I'm hurting.
Right.
The
yeah.
girl I love
Right.
didn't return my note,
Right.
and
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. That's you're exactly right about him and that album too. That somehow isn't on my list because I'm a dum-dum. Okay, so number 3 for me doesn't deserve to be number 3. It deserves to be number 1 probably, or at least number 2. But that Huey Lewis and the News Sports album, like you mentioned earlier, seriously. Looking at Spotify in front of me, you go 1, The Heart of Rock and Roll, 2, Heart and Soul, 3, Bad is Bad, 4, I Want a New Drug, 4, Walking a Thin Line, seriously, 5, Walking on a Thin Line, 6, Finally Found a Home, which that's not as good, 7, If This Is It.
yeah, that's a great song.
Yes.
That's a great video too.
Yeah, which, by the way, local comedian John Means, here in Mason City, he was friends with Huey and Lewis, and was in one of those videos. Number 8, You Crack Me Up, not as good. 9, Honky Tonk Blues. That's why it's not 1 or 2 on my list. But boy, again, what did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 songs in a row, just bang, 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 right in your face. Such a good album. He had a great voice. And we were talking earlier, I don't know whether it's one of the parts going to get edited or whatever we were doing, but like, list the 80s bands that define the 80s.
Huey Lewis.
And they're in it.
Absolutely.
Power of Love.
Yep.
It wasn't on this. It was a single because of a Back to the Future movie. They Do You Believe in Love, which was before this. After it, with the album 4. Yeah, so. Number
2. So I just posed the question. Who puts out albums in back-to-back years like Bryan Adams with Cuts Like a Knife and Reckless? And my number 2 is by John Cougar Mellencamp. And in 82, he drops American Fool. And then in 83, he drops which to me is better. It's a better 2-year run than what Bryan Adams did. And it's higher on my list on both years. But, American Fool is the greatest, which is why 83 at first looked at me like it wasn't as great, because I'm looking at my top albums and I'm going, okay, those are great albums. They're not even my favorite albums by these guys. But starts off with Crumbling Down, and then Pink Houses, and then the Authority song. And the rest of it I listen to because I own this on cassette and wore it out mowing yards. The first 3 songs are amazing. Absolutely amazing. Authority song is one of my favorites, and then the rest of the album plays pretty good, but you can't deny those 3 songs, the way that album starts.
It's on my just missed list, but it goes with what I was just saying, an album ago. And you just mentioned it. 1, 2, 3, Punch You in the Face.
Yep.
Crumbling Down. You would have bought that as a kid, album, cassette, whatever, put it on. You get punched in the face with Crumbling Down, Pink Houses, and Authority song immediately.
All right.
The rest of them are okay.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of them are right.
I'm a bigger John Cougar fan than you are, which is why I'd probably like the album better. But yeah, those 3. Yeah.
He another person that if you're throwing names in a hat of 80s artists that define our youth, he's in the hat.
Yep.
He's in the hat.
Yep.
My next, which would be my number 2, is someone who I did not know who they were. And I have grown to love them since then. Stevie Ray Vaughan became an artist, put his first album out or his second actually album out in this year of '83. It's called Texas Flood, and I love Stevie Ray Vaughan. He is one of my favorite artists ever. He passed away in a helicopter crash on the way home from a concert in Wisconsin. They flew into actually like a ski slope or something. It's kind of a long story. Like they were trying to they shouldn't have probably left that night or whatever. Anyway, the next day, of course, I'm cutting class at college in Rana's apartment, watching MTV, laying on Rana's couch. Everybody else is at class. And they talk about him dying. And I'm like, well, that stinks for his fans, you know? Like, you don't want to, you know. So I run out to Rockin' Robins that day and buy an album called Texas Flood and listen to it. I'm like, what is this? Like, this guy is something else. Yeah. And I'm not making this up. This is exactly how it happened. And I've loved him ever since. And the funny thing about it is, you know, lots of kids learned how to play a guitar, quotation marks, on Guitar Hero. You know what's on the first Guitar Hero? Texas Flood. That song's on there. Because he killed it.
Yeah.
He was an amazing guitar player. And from that moment on, he had drug problems and he got himself clean. And that's what made it terrible about when he passed away, is he had got his life back in order and then he dies. He's one of the artists, of all the artists that I love, the Jim Morrisons, the Jimi Hendrix, the Janis Joplins, the John Bonhams. He's in that list of people that, gosh, I wish something bad wouldn't have happened to him, because what would he have given us if he hadn't died? And this album is right. His first popular album shows you what he could have done. And it had to be number 2 on my list because it just is that good. And I didn't even know, I had no clue what it was in the middle of Illinois in 1983. And it's obviously not on your list, and it shouldn't be on your list, but it's one of those that I came to later that I would just listen to it over and over again. So, doing it the way you want to do it.
All right.
We will now list the just missed list.
Okay. So, I'm going to name drop Lick It Up by Kiss.
Yeah.
They missed, but...
Yeah, couple of songs that are good. Rest of it's...
Love that album, though, at the time. It hasn't stood the test of time.
No,
I liked it then. It's like an old movie that you're like, oh, that was awesome, and then you watch it, you're like, wow.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah, but I wanted to mention them. That they were just outside. Sweet Dreams by the Eurythmics. A couple of great songs. Rest of the album, Pink Floyd's The Final Cut. Not one of their most well-known one, but I love Pink Floyd, and so I like that album despite the fact that most people can't name you one song off of it.
It's funny because it's when they really, really hate each other.
Yeah.
They really, really, really hate each other.
And you can tell.
But it's not, you're right. There's a couple things on it that are worth listening to.
Yeah. Stevie Nicks, The Wild Heart. I love Stevie Nicks.
We were just listening to it.
She's got some songs on there. God, Stevie Nicks. There's another one that how do you separate her from the 80s? I had Can't Slow Down, Lionel Richie. Originally, it made my top 10. That's a great album, and I'm with Tony. I'm not a huge Lionel Richie fan. I mean, he's a legend. Temptations, top album that year or the next year, maybe whenever he got credit for it. Huh? Commodores. Who'd I say? Temptations. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's great. Love him. It's for some band I didn't know. But anyway, 4 or 5 songs on there that were huge hits. And then the one that just barely missed, Robert Plant, The Principle of Moments, has 2 great songs on it, Big Log and I'm in the Mood, but it just missed.
I got a lot that just, they fell into that category that the 1 or 2 songs just couldn't pull it on. They couldn't win the championship. It's Allen Iverson for the Sixers against the Los Angeles Lakers in 2001 that just rolled to the championship. She's So Unusual by Cyndi Lauper. Time After Time. All Through the Night. Is that right? Am I
Time After
is
Time's
that-
not on that album. Oh yeah, it is.
No,
You're
100%
thinking of
Is it 82? Am I off on the
no,
year?
no. You're right on the year. I was thinking time. It's True Colors that's on the other album.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're
Yeah,
right. No,
your
it's a
facial
great album.
Your facial expression gave me the
Yeah, you're fine.
that I
You're
missed
doing
it.
you're doing good.
Okay, but I don't like Girls Just Want to Have Fun that much. Maybe it's the video, but Time After Time and All Through the Night, masterpiece. Such a great song. Was on your list. We talked about it. Metal Health, we talked about it. Midnight Madness from Night Ranger.
Yep.
I love Night Ranger. I love the band Night Ranger. It had You Can Still Rock in America, Sister Christian, Passion Play, When You Close Your Eyes.
Yep.
Such a beautiful voice I have.
God, I thought he was
great-
here.
Yeah.
Night Ranger's here.
Great song. That album. Real quick, let's see on my list. Too Low for Zero by Elton John.
Yep.
I'm Still Standing. That's a billion streamed song on Spotify, and I guess that's why they call it the blues.
This was
Get
one of the.
out.
That's one of the
Get
greatest songs.
out. That
But that's
song is-
Allen Iverson for you.
that song is
It's just
so
not good enough to take
No,
that
it
album the
couldn't
rest of
pull-
the way.
It couldn't pull that album on there. Let me real quick. Let me scroll a little bit just in case. I want to look at the things that you and I talked about before we came on here.
Okay.
Corey Hart album. His first album was called First Offense. You ever heard? Those of you listening, you ever heard of the song "Sunglasses at Night"? So good.
Yep.
It Ain't Enough. It Ain't Enough for You. Oh my gosh. Jackson Brown, Lawyers in Love.
Oh yeah.
That song. Tender is the Heart. Or Tender is the Night. Sorry, Tender is the Night.
How do I not have that Jackson Brown album on here?
So good. That's on the list. How about Men at Work? Men at Work gave us Business as Usual before that in 81.
Yeah.
It gave us Cargo is the name of the album. Overkill, which you would know it if I played it. And It's a Mistake. You'd know if I played it. Great song. You said Robert Plant, In the Mood. Big Log is one of my favorite songs ever. We talked about, before we went on, Spandau Ballet, the song Gold, off of the album True, which the title track True.
Yeah.
I love the song
That's
True.
a good one.
That might be one of my favorite songs ever. Here's one we didn't talk about. Billy Joel's An Innocent Man.
Oh yeah. That's not
Easy
on my
Money.
list anywhere.
An Innocent Man. The Longest Time. Tell Her About It.
Yeah.
Uptown Girl.
Jeez.
Keeping the Faith. Neither one of us mentioned it.
Yeah, that's for.
That's a great
Yeah, somebody
one.
listening to this is pissed.
Somebody's going. Yeah, somebody put in the comments. How do you leave that out?
Holy Diver, Dio.
That's on my list. That's
Okay.
on my Too Short or Didn't Make It. What about this one? I was just looking at it. Darn it. Naked Eyes. Always something there to remind me. Promises, Promises.
Yep.
Remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
Rick Springfield, Living in Oz, Human Touch, Affair of the Heart. You and I have talked about Talking Heads before, and I know we need to wrap this up, get to number one, but Talking Heads, we've talked about Talking Heads before. Great single songs, awful albums in our opinion.
Terrible.
Burning Down the House is on an album in that year. The rest of the album, poop.
Let me tell you what. If you ever want to listen to a Talking Heads album, do this instead. Just stand. Let somebody stand over you and drop big rocks on your head, and then have Jennifer Aniston just randomly just kiss you on the mouth. You'd be like, "Oh, that hurts. Oh, I think I have a concussion. Oh, Jennifer Aniston kissed me." That's what it's like listening to a Talking Heads album. It's painful. It's concussion-like, and then it's like, "Oh, that's really nice."
I'm smiling, but you're right.
It's
You're
absolutely
right.
spot on.
Okay, you're number one.
Okay.
I threw a bunch of stuff out.
You
I'm
did.
hoping that-
Let me
I'm
say a few because I didn't know you got to list your top 50.
What's the name of the podcast again?
The Anthony Wherleys. Thin Lizzy had an album that year, Thunder and Lightning. Check it out. Also, one of my favorite bands, The Cult, were in their early days, and they released an album as The Death Cult, and they released an album as The Southern Death Cult. Those would have made my short list. Nobody else probably wants to listen to them. And then I think that's it. Did you mention Genesis?
No, we talked. I think when we edited, we started over. I thought you had mentioned them, but you're right.
And I actually had this.
That's
album.
all. Taking it all too hard.
Yeah.
And Just a Job to Do, which was a Miami Vice TV show song.
Oh yeah.
Here's what. Let me throw. I'm throwing these out because maybe somebody wants to listen to this. They forgot about it.
Okay.
If you're listening, Rod Stewart had an album called Body Wishes, and it had nothing else on it, but it had a song called Baby Jane on it.
Oh yeah.
Remember Baby Jane?
Baby Jane's good.
Baby
tune.
Jane is a great song. One more thing. I just looked at it. Darn it.
She Works Hard for the Money by Donna Summer also came out that year, and there's 2 or 3 really good songs on there.
I had it on my
Donna
parents
Summer's
got it for
beautiful.
me on LP, and nope. Christopher Cross, Another Page, Think of Laura, All Right, great song. There was something else. Darn it. Okay, what's your number one? I'll look.
So my number one is She's So Unusual by Cyndi Lauper, and it is there's more on that than what Tony said when he mentioned it in his short list. Money changes everything. Girls just want to have fun, which I also don't like that much. When You Were Mine, Time After Time. That's side 1. Unreal. Then side 2 goes She Bop, All Through the Night, Witness, I'll Kiss You, He's So Unusual, and Yeah Yeah. And this is a 10 for 10 album for me. I'm a closet Cyndi Lauper fan. I guess it probably came out a long time ago. I'm not ashamed of it anymore. This album is amazing. She didn't do crap afterwards except redo these songs. She had 1 or 2 other really good songs after this, but this album, it's a start to finish, and there's no skipping.
You and I, we've been friends for a long time, and we will go to our graves disagreeing about this album. I listened to it the other day, and it's the ones I named I like. The others, I don't think they help us win help that album win a championship. Doesn't matter though, because it's everybody's opinion. Because
your
number one
didn't even make my short list, but it was close.
My number one didn't even make your short list.
Yeah.
I saw the one that I was wanting to mention, mainly because it's from a movie that my girl and I love. You ever heard of The Replacements?
Yeah.
They have an album called Hootenanny.
Okay.
And they have a song. They have 3 songs on that album. One of them is called "Color Me Impressed." You wouldn't know.
Okay.
Buck Hill. You would know that. They have a song called "Within Your Reach," and they play it at the end of "Say Anything." When you remember "Say Anything"?
Yeah.
And they get on the plane.
Yeah. When he
called,
goes, "This is this first 7 words of every great success story."
I just love that movie. That's me and my girl who just got home from work.
Yep.
That's our movie. And yes, that's the thing. And that song that's playing is called "Within Your Reach." When he tells his sister goodbye and his little nephew goodbye, "Within Your Reach" is that song. And you'll know it the second you hear it, and that's how they take that movie out. So that's the one. That probably should be in my number one, but it's not.
Nobody thinks we can do it. The first 7 words of every great success story.
Yeah. I love that
that's
movie.
a great movie.
I love that
I should have worn my shirt.
I love that
My
movie.
Megatron shirt today. Okay, go ahead.
I love you, man.
What's your number one?
My number one is something I had on cassette, and I listened to it over and over and over and over and over again. It's ZZ Top's Eliminator. ZZ Top is a crazy group. Because if you go back to their beginnings, or if you watch on Netflix, they had a documentary about them and their beginnings. They are so good. Billy Gibbons played guitar with Jimi Hendrix when he was young. Like, there are so many things to that band. And Eliminator is such an amazing album. It's so good. Like, I don't even know. Like, it's a 10 out of 11. Give Me All Your Lovin', Got Me Under Pressure, Sharp Dressed Man, I Need You Tonight. And it's the others. The hits were Give Me All Your Lovin', Got Me Under Pressure, Sharp Dressed Man. Legs, that's a hit. But I'm talking, go listen to I Need You Tonight. Go listen to Thug. Go listen to TV Dinners, which as a kid I'm like, what? You got a song about TV dinners? Pretty good now. Dirty Dog, If I Could Only Flag Her Down. I love that album. I would listen to it all the way through every time. And it's not like I'm ZZ Top fanboy. It's a good album. I just love it.
Yeah.
And I challenge, and I think the one thing I want to say about this as we go on is if you're listening to this and you're like, I remember that, but I go listen to it. Listen to it the whole way through.
Yes.
And you could still go, Tony or Jerry, you're dumb. That's not right. But give it a chance.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is if you have a streaming service, you can.
Or YouTube.
Or YouTube.
For free. That's the thing. Is listen, everybody, all you have is time. So go listen to the stuff you haven't listened to in forever or that you've never listened to and give it a shot. Because I've discovered new music lately that I wouldn't have dreamed. 30-year-old Jerry would be like, 52-year-old Jerry, what are you listening to? And you just got to give stuff a chance. It's out there. It's at your fingertips.
And neither one of us are musicians. And
No.
I'm sure that if you were a musician, you would think, okay, streaming, I don't make very much money. But I'm telling you, I've found things in the last 15 years that I would have never found 20 years ago because of the internet and because of streaming. You messaged us in that group and using that goofy app that you guys love, about a band that I had already listened to it. What was in it? What is it?
Alabama Shakes.
Yeah, Alabama Shakes.
I was just going to say
them.
them.
You sent it to us, and that song, I've listened to that
Hold
song
on, everybody.
over and over and over again, and I never find that if it's not for streaming.
Yeah. And I just bought that album on vinyl.
It's so good.
I've bought so much vinyl in the last
can
2
sing
months
it.
because of social media, because of stuff like this, I've bought stuff that I would not have bought.
So do yourself a favor.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this and you think we're boneheads and you've known us our whole lives, go listen to some stuff. Go listen to the things we're throwing out.
And if you're a musician and you think these guys don't know what they're talking about, we don't. We literally know. We are musically challenged as anybody you'll ever meet. But we love music.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Couldn't live without it.
Yep.
Couldn't live without it. Okay, so hopefully after we started it, stopped it, started it again, hopefully that ended up being a good episode. I hope when you listen, you enjoy it. Again, if you listen to it, comment on my Facebook. I turn the comments off on YouTube just because I can't control them the same. So comment on Facebook or on my Instagram. Jerry won't see it on Instagram, but he'll see it on Facebook.
Be glad you're listening to it, not looking at it. Tony's tough to look at.
I don't even know what to say to that other than, well, you have
Tony's got a face for radio.
That's right. Just wait until I get my podcasting studio set up in my house and we have our faces on camera.
Can't wait.
I can't wait either. And people can see your Dungeons and Dragons t-shirt the entire
Which
time.
is
And
amazing.
people can stare at my Farrah Fawcett shirt.
All right.
All right.
Let's wrap it up.
Love you guys. Remember, life is good. It always is.
Till next time.